We have an Ikea guy in our town that you pay him and he'll go pick up stuff because we don't have an Ikea. And that's his business. How do you hire C-level talent? Very different video. If you've ever struggled with the fact that your company's growing really fast, now you gotta bring in some really talented people that actually have been there, done that, are gonna come in and install systems, or maybe you gotta network to find those contacts because it's not natural that you would know those kind of people, because I'm talking like high-level VPs and C-levels. Those folks, especially in the software space, they're taken. You have to like kind of go grab them from somebody else. But I think that there's a simple way, and I'm going to share this video, where you can build a very structured and ongoing process to recruit and attract high-level talent. And even if you're not ready to hire, I'm going to show you how to have that leverage and those conversations add value to your business and to your peer group in the market. I've been fortunate enough to have supported and helped hundreds of entrepreneurs at this point scaling their companies. And one of the roles, and it's not something like I don't get paid for this. It's just I get to meet a lot of really talented folks. Sometimes it's entrepreneurs in between transitions, and I've usually leverage those people to add value to some of my coaching clients. So helping one of my clients like Ryan hire a VP of product, or my buddy John hire a CFO. Or recently, I had a conversation with a VP of marketing from a company that went from 3 million to 10 million in ARR, annual recurring revenue. And he was looking for new opportunities. So I introduced them to probably 15 different companies that were all a perfect fit for him, because that's my network and value add. So I just think it's good karma. And the reason why I call this the Ikea Effect is because I'm going to teach you how to approach those people, interact with them, and really get them to sell them to you in a reverse way. There's this great line in a Pitbull song called "Ask for money, get advice. Ask for advice, get money twice." Yeah, I just quoted Pitbull. It's a real thing. So there's 3 steps to really do this right. The first one is source. And I think the best way to source quality talent is to deputize other people, is to think about folks that interact and go to events and have access to a certain caliber of people. I have friends like my buddy Evan, who is one of the top directors of sales, and he's worked at several SaaS companies. And he's the guy I recently just pinged because I have one of my clients looking for a VP of sales and said, who's the best VP of sales you've ever worked with? And I think, allowing those people to know, in your network, and say, hey, if you ever come across this type of role, let me know. If you ever come across this type of person, let me know. If you've ever come across just an individual that blows your minds, I just want to know. I can always decide if I move forward or not, but I can't move forward with a candidate I've never been presented. So the idea of sourcing through mechanism of deputizing is a powerful one that everybody watching this video can adopt. The other one is strategizing. So once you have a candidate, let's say I was hiring a VP of marketing, what I want to do is reach out to them and say, hey, I would just love to get together and jam on a problem we're having. Maybe it's top of funnel. Maybe you're having an issue generating consistent leads, top of your funnel to get qualified demos scheduled for your account execs. If that's the case, then just sit down and schedule a 2-hour Zoom session or a Skype session or a video chat or an in-person, and just show them your cards and show them the data and say, how would you approach this? What information would you need? And maybe they want to prep before. I sometimes just offer to pay them. I say, look, I know you don't consult. I know you work at this other company, but you're the type of person that knows exactly how to solve this problem. And I would love to just get your advice on this challenge. And that's powerful, because what happens is when people get involved in a business and they start giving you ideas and feedback, they feel invested in the outcome. And there's not a big departure from that initial conversation with them to a moment or a feeling or an agreement that, maybe you guys work together and it's worth doing. So 2 hours is kind of cool because it gives you enough time to kind of assess each other out. You could do it over a lunch and then kind of make it a working lunch. I've done that as well. I hired a CTO for my company Flowtown, and it was through this process. And that individual is one of the primary reasons that company went on to 50,000 customers, eventually got acquired, because they built the technology, the hard stuff, the super hard stuff that made the company work. And I just think the right CTO, the right VP of sales, the right VP of marketing can transform your business. We're talking 3x growth in a 12-month period. And it requires you to get to know them and really strategize as a way of getting advice and having them sell themselves on you and get committed. And that's why it's called the Ikea Effect. You know, when you build the furniture for Ikea, there's been this proven stat that people are more committed or have a higher perceived value to the furniture, not because of the price, but because they actually were involved in putting it together. And that's what happens when you ask for advice through these really senior people, is they're committed and involved in the business at that point. And it's not much more to ask them, hey, is this something you see, you know, maybe moving over to and making it part of your life for the next 3 to 5 years? Because I think we could create something special. And that's kind of the language in the conversation that I have. And then finally, the third area is select. You know, everybody talks about vision and values and mission and, you know, KPIs and all that fun stuff. And those are all important. But to me, when you hire somebody and you select the right candidate, you know, assuming skill and experience and all these things and comp structure and all that stuff is on the same level, it's really about values, you know. And this is what I tell people that I coach, is that your values are there to help you hire and fire people. And it's your responsibility in the interview process to test for those values. And you know it in your soul. Nobody's ever said the words, I wish I wouldn't have listened to my gut. Those words have never been uttered in the history of human existence, because we all know in the early days, and sometimes you have a void to fill and you're eager to get somebody on board, but you know there's something there and you have no proof. This is the crazy part. You have no proof. You can't put your finger on it. You just know they're not a good fit. And usually within 6 to 12 months, they're gone because the values were disconnected. The way they like to work, the way your team works. You know, I had a good friend of mine, Mike, who hired a VP of sales, and he knew when he hired them, this guy was super driven, cutthroat, aggressive, verbally abusive in his approach. And he knew in the early days he probably should have let him go. And instead he didn't. And it was a really tough conversation 9 months in, when they thought they were rocking and they started building up the sales org and all this stuff, to then come in and swap him out with somebody else. I mean, at scale, these are really tough decisions, but you know, those are the 3 strategies. Now, I want to give you a tip, you know, because really you got to do 3 things. You got to source, you've got to strategize, and you've got to select the right candidate. And it could feel overwhelming, but the most important thing I could share with you is hire a recruiter. Now, don't hire a recruiter to send you a bunch of resumes that you then have to filter, and they're a bunch of ding-dongs and unqualified people. Hire a recruiter to run that process, to source people, to identify, to go on your LinkedIn, to make a lead list, to reach out, get them, you know, interested, get them connected, schedule the calls with you, reach out and see, you know, if there's a fit, just to get advice, to maybe even take care of payment for consulting or whatever it is. Like, I think that so many companies don't realize there's a skill and an art to recruiting. Great recruiters know how to do that. They can play third party, boasting how incredible you are as a company and a founder. You don't have to do that. It sets a really great frame for that conversation when they come in and get introduced to you. And they can run the pipeline in the process without you as the CEO having to do that. And I think that is huge leverage in your business. So that is my tip for you to do. As you use the Ikea effect to hire C-level talent, you want to find somebody that can actually run, manage, be accountable for the process, to give you more bandwidth. As per usual, I want to challenge you to live a bigger life and a bigger business. I'll see you guys next Monday. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to my channel for other tips and strategies on how to grow and scale your software company. I'd also encourage you to join my newsletter, where I send out invites to contests, exclusive events, and other free training. And if you want to get going, I got 2 more videos queued up for you right there. I will see you next Monday.